All right, we're now just 3 days out from the Iowa caucuses, and last night, the gloves came off as the GOP candidates made their final appeal to Hawkeye voters. The first thing addressed was the elephant, not in the room. That was Donald Trump.
Let me say, I'm a maniac, and everyone on this stage is stupid, fat, and ugly. And Ben, you're a terrible surgeon. Now that we've gotten the Donald Trump portion out of the way.
Chris, let's begin by being clear what this campaign is about. It's not about Donald Trump. He's an entertaining guy. He's the greatest show on earth. This campaign is about the greatest country in the world and a president who has systematically destroyed many of the things that made America special.
Brett, we're just starting. The first vote hasn't been counted. Why don't we let the process work? I trust Iowans, Granite Staters, people in South Carolina, people in Nevada to start this process out. I kind of miss Donald Trump. He was a little teddy bear to me. We always had such a loving relationship during these debates and in between and the tweets. I kind of miss him. I wish he was here. Everybody else was in the witness protection program when I went after him on behalf of what the Republican cause should be, conservative principles.
All right, the candidates then quickly turned to the bigger issues. And with Ted Cruz taking Trump's place at the center of the stage, many of the shots went his way.
You know, Ted didn't show up. We had an audit the Fed vote, which was the biggest thing my dad had been advocating for 30 years. Ted didn't have time to show up. He was the only Republican that didn't show up for it.
Ted could change his mind. Marco could change his mind. It's perfectly legal in this country to change your mind. But when you're a governor, you have to admit it. You can't hide behind parliamentary tricks.
The bill would involve legalization. He can't have it both ways. But what is particularly insulting, though, is that he is the king of saying, oh, you're for amnesty. Everybody's for amnesty except for Ted Cruz.
This is the lie that Ted's campaign is built on, and Rand touched upon it. That he's the most conservative guy and everyone else is a rhino. The truth is, Ted, throughout this campaign, you've been willing to say or do anything in order to get votes.
Well, sparks also flew between Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush over their changing positions on immigration.
At the time and the context of that was in 2009 and 2010, where the last effort for legalization was an effort done in the Senate. It was an effort led by several people that provided almost an instant path with very little obstacles moving forward. What I've always said is this issue does need to be solved.
Well, I'm kind of confused because he was the sponsor of the Gang of Eight bill that did require a bunch of thresholds, but it ultimately allowed for citizenship over an extended period of time. I mean, that's a fact. And he asked me to support that. And I supported him. And then he cut and run because it wasn't popular amongst conservatives, I guess.
And Chris Christie, who said that he's the best candidate to represent the GOP in November, explained why as he tore into Hillary Clinton.
You know why the Republican Party will want to take a chance on me? Because they know that Hillary Clinton will never be prosecuted by this Justice Department, and they're going to want to put a former federal prosecutor on the stage to prosecute her next September. And there is no one on this stage better prepared to prosecute the case against Hillary Clinton than I am. I will be ready. I will take her on. And when I take her on, I guarantee you one thing. She will never get within 10 miles of the White House. The days for the Clintons in public housing are over.
And Jeb Bush, who many said had his best night yet, defended his family dynasty.
Look, I'm an establishment because my dad, the greatest man alive, was president of the United States, and my brother, who I adore as well, is a fantastic brother, was president. Fine, I'll take it. And I guess I'm part of the establishment because Barbara Bush is my mom. I'll take that, too. But this election is not about our pedigree. This is an election about people that are really hurting. And we need a leader that will fix things and have a proven record to do it. And we need someone who will take on Hillary Clinton in November.
All right, so without the Donald, Chairman, breakdown last night. Now, you have endorsed a candidate on the stage last night.
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio. So Marco Rubio had a great night last night.
He did.
And he was able to get some blows into Ted Cruz, who ended up not having his human shield, Donald Trump there.
Right.
And I do think that your guy Rubio did bruise him a bit. What did you think of their back and forth on immigration?
Well, that's what this is all about, and I thought this was a better debate because there was more substance as opposed to the personal attacks, and to that degree, I think it was much more productive. But I'm a huge fan of Marco Rubio because I think he's the best candidate to win in November, and he showed again, debate after debate after debate, he knows his stuff. He knows foreign policy. He's a rock-solid conservative. And for those of us that have spent time with literally every candidate on both sides of the aisle, myself, Trey Gowdy, others, we support Marco because he's a leader, and that's what we need.
Chairman, before I move on, I want to ask you about his position on immigration, because it does seem to be an Achilles heel, and people don't think that it's conservative. And he got dinged on it last night a bit when he tried to go after Cruz for it. What do you make of his switching of positions that Megyn Kelly asked him about?
Well, I think he hit the nail on the head when he said, look, we can't get through any discussion until we lock down that border. We got to get rid of these rewards and incentives to be there, and I think he understands that. Some people say that he supports amnesty. He does not support amnesty. I would support him if he supported amnesty at this point. So I think he's very good on this topic, and I think he can lead us to where we need to be. And the first thing, which he talked about last night, is locking down that border.
All right, Harris, what did you think? You were doing the online coverage.
Actually, no, I wasn't.
Oh, you
Melissa
were?
was.
Oh, that's right, Melissa was.
Yeah.
I confused.
Megyn.
So
Yeah,
was
we
I.
loved
All right,
it.
so you were, what did you think of it, though?
You know, I thought a couple of things. I thought the best one-liners against Hillary Clinton were actually by Carly Fiorina. I mean, you were saying to every adversary and every terrorist organization on the planet, it's open season. That, Mrs. Clinton, is what difference it makes. Of course, that's paraphrasing and in reference to the remark that Clinton said at her 2013 Benghazi hearing. She really was, and then she hit her on Bill Clinton and their relationship, so on and so forth. So she was really loaded and ready to go. But if the question is who lost or who maybe suffered a bit, I think it was Ted Cruz. It was difficult for him. You know, he had to do kind of a delicate dance, and I was made at times uncomfortable by his attack on the moderators because they were asking tough questions.
Yes.
But, you know, Jeb Bush got to soar a little bit. My question, though, is if the only time that you get to soar is if your greatest adversary is not on the stage, what would he do facing Hillary Clinton if she were to get the nomination?
Right.
I mean, that's the question in my mind. But I do think he did well last night. I do think that he got to finish complete thoughts. Yeah. And it wasn't so negative for him because he, you know, the teddy bear line obviously was the opposite of where he normally goes with Donald Trump. But it was interesting to get to see him formulate his own argument. Can he do that, though, when they all return to the same stage in, what, a couple of weeks?
Well, it does seem like that, Megyn. When Trump's on the stage, Jeb gets flustered, and then he talked to Sean Hannity afterward, and he said, aren't I getting better? I am getting better at going after him, which you probably shouldn't admit on camera. But what did you make about, that was weird, what did you make about Ted Cruz's tone? Because there have been these rumors that he's hard to get along with in D.C., but you guys in the House love him, but in the Senate he's not well liked. Did that come out last night, or do you think it was justified?
This was his opportunity with Trump off the stage to really come out swinging, show himself to be the leader he wants to be, the #1 in Iowa. Completely missed opportunity in a lot of different ways. Marco really got some good dings in. Me personally, my favorite moment was when he said, everybody except you is a rhino. You're the only true conservative on the stage, and I actually think that really hurt him because it's a ridiculous statement. I always think he's a brilliant debater. Not last night. It's like he feeds off Trump's anger, and for whatever reason, I thought he actually did very, very poorly last night. Rubio, big winner. Jeb came out enough not to embarrass his family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Melissa.
I think it was Ted Cruz's to win, and he didn't do it. I was very surprised by that because I'm someone who has been impressed by his debate skills all along, and for whatever reason, I mean, he really, there was a vacuum and he didn't fill it. I thought the standout performance was Rand Paul, that he had the opportunity, like a little bit more space to make his case without seeming angry. I mean, I loved it in that bite when he sort of did the other candidates' voices. I was joking about that on Twitter. I mean, he was more himself. He was more relaxed. He made his case, and even though I think in this particular race, I don't know how much of a chance he has, he proved that he was here to stay, and then he had some good thoughts and he had some staying power. I liked him a lot.
And Rand also represents a different perspective from the party, which is good. I mean, the Democrats don't have any sort of competing theories on the stage. I also, Chairman, thought that Chris Christie did really well last night, in addition to Rand Paul. Very strong, and when he goes after Hillary Clinton, I think he does it better than anybody else. I know you're a Rubio guy, but break down Christie's performance.
Well, I think anytime any of them go after Hillary Clinton, it's the right target, and that's what we should be talking about, is the contrast between Republicans and the other sideshow that's going on between Hillary
Chairman,
Clinton.
they haven't been. They've been talking about Marco's lead foot and his credit card issues, which I sympathize. I've gotten speeding tickets and used a credit card myself one too many times. It's petty and silly. So this was a nice break because they sort of elevated the discussion.
That's right. And so, with Donald Trump not in the debate, we actually got into talking about substance, which I think what people want to see. And so each of them had their own highlights along the way. I still, having spent time with each of them, Marco's the right person.
Harris, any other memorable moments for you? I mean, does this really bruise Ted Cruz going into Iowa?
I look forward for just a second, and it also touches on Ted Cruz. So we talked about the super PAC money yesterday, $1.5 million that were going to be put up to possibly have, and I guess Ted Cruz's camp was trying to come up with the venue, maybe they have now, for him to take on one-on-one Donald Trump. And I said yesterday, well, that'll give him a second bite of the apple if he doesn't do well last night. The question is Donald Trump really going to want to do that a couple days out from Iowa caucuses? Also read today, Carly Fiorina might want in on that too. It would be without a moderator. I don't know how you pull that together in less than 24 hours, but does that maybe signify the fact that Ted Cruz even thought he might not do well? It seems like almost, okay, well, if I don't, I've got that.
Well, he needs to win Iowa, and I think Trump would probably like to win Iowa. Big difference. And he should stop trying to be funny. It doesn't work for him at all. It completely falls flat. The audience, they didn't laugh. It was very awkward. I mean, just don't try it. It's not your thing.
Yeah.
All right.